Hey everyone, welcome to this bonus video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the PlayStation Network holiday sale for week 2. We're going to go through the entire sale, PS4 games, PS3 games, PlayStation Vita games, and a PSP game. There's some PSP stuff in here too. I got this idea. There's a lot of people out there that do sales videos where they kind of go over it and say whether or not they think deals are actually worth it and, you know, what they like and what they don't like about it and all that stuff. So I figured why not give my own take and my own opinion. That's all this is meant to be. I'm not trying to take anyone else's thunder as far as these things are concerned, but I know some people like my opinion on some games and stuff, and since I'm a very thrifty gamer a lot of times, especially when it comes to buying, especially with digital, so I figured, yeah, why not throw my opinion into the ring. So here we go. I have this pulled up. What we're going to do is we're going to look through the games, see whether or not, you know, ones I've actually played, if I recommend them or not, or whether or not from what I know, if they're going to be worth it, and talk a little bit about the trophies, of course, because obviously, trophy person. So, kicking us off, we have the Mighty No. 9 expansion and the Retro Hero thing. The skin, not worth $1. If you don't really love Mighty No. 9, why would you waste the money on the skin? The Ray expansion was kind of cool. You got it for free if you bought the physical copy of Mighty No. 9, but if you bought it digitally, you had to buy it separately. Which I finally got a physical copy. I actually had to buy it digitally first, and then I ended up getting a physical copy a little while later when it was cheap. No surprise, I was able to get a bargain version of Mighty No. 9 pretty quickly after release. Dead Island Retro Rampage, Retro Revenge, was one of the only reasons I was interested at all in the Dead Island package reboot, because I don't really like Dead Island. I've never been a fan of the series. That spin-off Escape from Dead Island is one of the worst platinums I've ever earned. It was part of the Definitive, that's a Dead Island Definitive Collection. It seemed like it was a pretty cool game. It does not have a platinum by itself, though. That is one of the negatives when it comes to it. Originally, you could only get it in that pack, and then eventually they released it separately. Daxter for the PSP, a cool platformer, but, you know, it's PSP at this point. That was a pack-in title. Like, there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Daxter made for those crappy, you know, mini disc things for PSPs. I wouldn't pay $3.99 for Daxter at this point in time. Last Wings is a multiplayer plane shooter. It does have a platinum, but it's a very grindy platinum, including one for winning 10 matches in a row on the hard or insane difficulty. I'm sure you can play it multiplayer as well. You know, just show a couple of screenshots. If this looks like intriguing at all to you, you may. $3.99 isn't too bad for a digital game that does have a plat, but it's not one that I'm personally going to be going after. We have Typewriter for $5.59. This is a platformer that kind of looks at the history of, like, typewriting and, you know, like, actual written word and stuff like that. It seemed like an interesting game. It came out on Steam a while back, but it does not have a platinum, which is one of the reasons I avoided it back when it first came out as far as doing, like, a review or anything for it. Really not that huge of a discount, but if you're interested at all in it, of course, they don't have... I don't like it. One thing that sucks about PlayStation Store on here especially, I didn't want to do it through the system because it lags a lot of times, but I wish there was some more pictures and stuff. Armor Krog is an adventure-style game that is claymation. If you're into this, like, the more humorous adventure-style games, it is worth checking out. It's the sequel to The Neverhood, which is a, you know, relatively famous, popular adventure game that was done in the very same style, same characters and all that. The one unfortunate things about it being released to PS4 was it did not have a platinum. Drawful 2, part of the whole Jackbox party thing for multiplayer online. It's cool. Drawful 2 basically is kind of like a Pictionary-esque game where everyone gets a different thing to draw. You draw it, and then people guess what they think it is. And you're trying to get, like, you know, try to fool people with it or whatever it may be, and you get points and stuff. Really fun at a party, but if you're not going to have friends to play with or, you know, stuff like that, it's not really worth it. What's great about the whole Jackbox Party Pack in general is that you can play using, like, your cell phone or tablets or through a web browser. You don't actually have to own the game. Only one person has to own it in order for people to play. And a lot of Twitch streamers, including myself, played it a lot on stream. But I recommend the like the actual Jackbox party packs instead of getting, like, Drawful 2 by itself. Four-Sided Fantasy is a fun platformer. I couldn't get into it enough, like, to review it, to feel comfortable reviewing it. But basically, it's a platformer with a really interesting gimmick. It's probably not going to have, like, a good screenshot to really showcase it. But okay, so yeah, basically, it's a whole bunch as my phone goes off. But like, okay, so for example, your character can like jump off screen, like up here, and they're gonna appear down here. And there's a lot of puzzles like that, where you're going off the screen on one side and then popping out another spot on the opposite side. And there's a lot of great and like a lot of fun puzzles that are that do that whole gimmick, and they do it pretty well. I couldn't get into it, like I said, enough. $4.99 though, if you're looking for a platformer like that, puzzly platformer, you may enjoy that. At the same time though, it does not have a plat. Goat Simulator, I think most people know what Goat Sim is at this point, but chaotic, crazy, insane game. It borderlines whether or not it's an easy or a difficult platinum. Some people say, yeah, Goat Simulator is a really easy platinum, but I heard there's one trophy in particular that a lot of people like say, okay, oh, this is all fine and good, and then they get to that trophy and they up and bail and just quit. I have PSN profiles open as well that I can kind of pull up stuff so I can show you. You can see that 39.94% of people have the platinum. So a lot of people that are on PSN profiles is going after it. But there's like a couple of trophies in particular. I don't know if it's the Flatmaster. No, probably not that one. It may be that one. I would think it'd be that one, because the collectibles aren't that bad in it. It takes a lot of like maneuvering and goofy. It's a crazy game. $3.99 though is not bad for it. So if this game has ever piqued your interest, it may have been on sale, I think, a little bit cheaper at one point on PSN and one of the other sales. Maybe I'm wrong in that. But if you haven't picked it up yet, now may be the time. Griffin Knight Epic is another game that I've heard had a relatively easy platinum, if it's the game I'm thinking of. Let me look this up real quick. Griffin Knight Epic, yeah, it does have a plat. Has a 16.16, but I saw on, I think it was one of the other trophy sites, that they had listed it as a relatively easy plat. It seems like a lot of it is defeating bosses, watch the secret ending, defeat a little bit of grindy with 300 enemies with a bunch of different weapons, collect a certain amount of gold. Like, if anyone out there has played this game, let me know in the comments whether or not it's worth checking out. It looks kind of cool. It looks like action beat-em-up-y-esque, maybe some hack and slash. You ride on a griffin, clearly, which that's cool in itself. So this may be one, if for trophy people, that may be worth checking out. I'm not sure if $5.99 is a little bit too much for it, but still. Light Spear is a game where you throw a spear is like your only weapon. I heard some interesting stuff about it. I looked into it when it originally had come out, but it didn't pique my interest enough at that moment. Trying to check real quick. Blah, 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 blah. Probably spelled it wrong. Oh, yeah, that's right. There you go. Work with me. Work with me. Here we go. Platinum. 0% of people have the platinum. I'm wondering if that means it's just really difficult. Play for 100 hours. Finish the game on Rage Quit difficulty. Yeah, not for me. Okay, I've not as far as platinum concerned, not for me. It seems like it's still an interesting game, but $6.99 really isn't that big of a discount on it. Maybe that goes even lower at some point. Dogos, or Doggos, whatever, it's a shooter, but it kind of uses an interesting mechanic. Instead of just being like straight like vertical or horizontal shooter, it's more of a like spherical, I don't know how to describe it, like it's a round shooter, like you can actually move around the map and stuff like that. But it seemed like it was interesting. I'm pretty sure it does not have a platinum though, because I want to say that was one of the reasons I avoided it back when it came out. That is correct. It does not have a platinum, so, and that's really a very minuscule 20% discount, so I'm sure at some point maybe that'll go even cheaper. Steerden is a game I am not familiar with at all. Clearly is a retro-inspired shooter. Looks like it is a horizontal retro shooter. I want to say it doesn't have a plat, though, because I would have probably remembered. I am spelling it correctly. Work with me. No, it doesn't have a platinum. I didn't think it did, so destroy the ball. It looks like it's beat the game using blaster only. There's your difficult one. So maybe if you're interested in a retro scrolling shooter, well, of course, messing with me and going back on me. There we go. Another one of those ones where it's not a huge discount. Enter the Gungeon got a lot of hype this year. This is a game that got a ton of hype. I want to say it does have a plat because it was pretty hyped. It's another one of these games that is like randomly generated every time you end up playing it. So I know a lot of people really got into it, really heavy, kind of like Binding of Isaac-esque. But it's multiplayer. I would have to think with a game like that, and it's a shooter, more like it's. So you can see what it is here. Like I said, I didn't play it. Some people wanted me to check it out at some point. And $8.99, I don't know about that's gonna be. I'm gonna be able to get it at this point, but that may be enough of a discount to entice you guys to check it out. Geometry Wars, very popular shooter at 51% off. It's what a weird percent. 51% off. $7.34. Let's go ahead and I'm pretty sure Geometry Wars. There we go, Geometry Wars, 3 Dimensions. Yes, it does have a platinum, a very low percentage though. Geometry Wars games were relatively difficult as a whole. Achieved 3 stars on all 10 levels in co-op mode, so co-op mode is needed, which I assume is same system? I want to think it's same system only. Moving on. The GTA games, awesome, of course. I love them. I have platinumed 3 in San Andreas. Vice City, if you're interested at all in this collection, if you like them back on PS2, you'll love them still on PS4. No issues really with them at all. San Andreas has potentially the easiest trophy list because you don't have to platinum the game. You just have to beat it and do some of the side activities and stuff, but you don't have to get 100% of everything to platinum it. So that's the key with San Andreas. Vice City, though, if you decide to pick this up at any point, sale or not, do your research on the trophy list first. One trophy in particular is the reason why I don't have the platinum in this game. It requires, like, there's some methods to grind it out, but it's a really stupid trophy. You have to get Godfather ranking, which involves like a certain amount of points and stuff. There's a way to manipulate it, but it's still something I would have to spend a few hours to get done again, and that's why I'm just not messing with it. But obviously I'm a big fan of GTA series as a whole. $10.49. They were actually on sale cheaper at some point, I want to think. I ended up getting them all individually because they did bundle them, but they didn't bundle them right away. They bundled them later on down the road. Maybe we'll find the bundle in here as we're going through, but Harmonix Music VR. I've talked about VR before that. I don't really have it yet, so I haven't really messed with it. The Hotline Miami games are notoriously difficult, but very popular. These are top-down, action-oriented games. I don't know if the trailer will play out. What is my age? I was born in 1914. Don't tell anybody. I'm really old, in case you couldn't tell. Oh, okay, so I had to do that just so I could see the screenshot. So here it is. It's retro style. It has kind of a Vice City vibe to it, another 80s movie stuff influence. They're very fun, very gory, very bloody, adult themed, but like I said, also notoriously difficult. If you've never, I'm not sure if, it looks like Hotline Miami 1 may not be on sale here. I like how this page wants to fight me and not load. There we go. Inside My Radio, I thought it was a VR game. Maybe it's not. Okay, no, that's not the VR game. Never mind. I'm thinking of Job Simulator. It has a very similar picture. Job Simulator has a very similar picture. I have not played this game. It looks like a platformer where you play as a square. Maybe there's different musical themes. Can you beat the beat? Okay, so it's a rhythm-based platformer to a degree. A journey as a green LED trapped in a dying boombox. It sounds like a very intriguing game. My guess, though, is it does not have a platinum. Because it seems like that's the kind of game that I would usually... Yep, does not have a plat. It has 45% trophy things, so it looks like... there you go. Finish all time attacks. Time trials are usually... I know... I'm finding out that time trials are a big deterrent for a lot of people going after platinums, so... There's that. In Versus, I did a review for this game if you want to check it out, more of it. It's an interesting multiplayer game, but it's way too expensive. It's fun multiplayer. You play as either a black or a white square, and your goal is to take out your opponent while dealing with, not running, like dealing with the other squares and stuff like that. It's interesting. Single player wise, it's definitely not worth your time, though it's kind of fun for a high score type thing. Basically, you're this black square, and these Red squares are trying to kill you, and you can fire at them. The bullets are represented by the little dots within the square. So it kind of works like a gun, like a revolver type thing. It was fun for a little bit, but even at $8.99, it's not worth that price point. It does not have a plat. Jotun Valhalla Edition. This game seemed really cool. And I wanted to check it out when it was originally released, but I just didn't get around to it. So, epic, blah, 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 blah. Like I said, this is the kind of game that looks really cool. I'm not sure. It does have a plat. Low percentage, though. Pretty low percentage. Yeah, 1.83% for the plat. That's pretty low. It's a difficult game, too, I want to guess. Yeah, look at that. Defeat these bosses in time. Beat bosses without taking damage. So it looks like it's one of those games that's going to put up a fight. That is for sure. But still, a very cool-looking game. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. I've heard some really good things about that game. Did it really not come? There it is. Dangerous Space. I know it has a platinum. Has a low percentage, though. Finish tutorial. It's multiplayer. I know you gotta do some multiplayer stuff. Rescue all the captured friends. Earn each type of ship badge. That looks like it's a little bit of a grind. Gotta love the graphics, though. Big fan of that. See if I can get a... There you go. This is the pictures and all for it. Very chaotic and very cool looking. Like I said, I heard some good things about it, but I never got around to actually checking out myself. Song of the Deep, I've done a review for that if you want to check out more information on it. It is a Metroidvania set kind of game, but it's underwater. You play as a girl and her submarine. It kind of works a little bit like old school Blaster Master, where you had like the tank, and you can get out of the tank and swim around as well. It was a GameStop exclusive physical copy of the game was available. $7.49 is not bad for it. It doesn't have a platinum, though, which was very disappointing, especially when it ended up getting that physical release. PS3 game for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I've heard mixed things about this game. I heard people like it better than the more recent Mutants in Manhattan game that I did review earlier this year, which I was very, very disappointed by. But I've heard like I said, I've heard mixed things about it. $6.89, though, does not seem all that terribly bad. For this game. It's still beat 'em up. It's still Ninja Turtles. It's still beat 'em up. I can't remember if it had a plat, though. Does not have it listed. Out of the Shadows is not... Jesus, there's that many Shadows-based games? Oh, you guys just have to let me know if it has a plot or not. Big Buck Hunter Arcade for $13.99. No, do not buy it. Do not get it. If you want more information, yes, it's another one where I do have a review. But even if you're a fan of Big Buck Hunter, this game is not worth $13.99. It does have a physical, though, and it's hard to get a hold of the physical copy. If you see a physical copy of this game at any point for like $5 and you're a collector, jump on it. Definitely jump on it. Because I have a feeling it may become sought after down the road. But as far as anything with it, no one has a platinum. I am not surprised, and I'm sure it's because of these trophies. Wow, someone actually got the 2 bonus games. Wow, okay. Getting the perfect in the bonus games is one of the reasons why I lost interest pretty quick. But killed all the critters in Whitetail Adventure, no one has gotten that trophy yet. And since I know there's one for... I assume there's one for killing all critters in... Yes, in Moose Adventure. Since this one has people unlocked and this one doesn't, my guess is it's glitched. In which case, good luck. Another thing about Big Buck Hunter that annoyed the crap out of me was it updated. They did an update on the PlayStation Network for it. And it erased my save data. I had to start my save data all over again. And there's grindy ones where you have to kill like a certain number of animals. So yeah, that was the end of my trophy hunting for that. Dead Island Definitive Edition for that and Riptide, both at $11.99. The Dead Island games are basically Fetch Quest Zombie, the game. with, you know, you're basically doing a lot of fetch quests and running around this island. It was not that fun. It has a bunch of crafting for items and weapons and stuff, which is something I never really can get into. It's why I really didn't like Dying Light all that much. I just don't like the fact that if I pick up a baseball bat and hit a zombie in the head, I feel like it should kill the zombie or at least damage it. But it's one of those things where, well, it's a weak baseball bat. You got to get a more powerful baseball bat, and it drives me nuts in action games like that. So I'm not a big fan. But if it's something that may have piqued your interest, I would just go ahead and try to get the physical definitive edition for cheap. I am sure it will be in a bargain bin or cheap at GameStop at some point down the road. And that way you get both it and its sequel, Riptide, for a relatively low price. I wouldn't pay $11.99 for either one of these games. Deadlight Director's Cut. I've heard some things about Deadlight that seem kind of interesting. It didn't seem like maybe it was my kind of game. Apocalyptic Age, blah blah blah, 1986, Ultimate, blah blah blah, that does not help me. I want to say, it got I know that game got a physical in Europe. Deadlight did. I don't think it got a physical here in North America, though. It does have a platinum. It's a 6.47, so not as rare as some of the ones we've looked at today. A lot of common ones. But then finish Nightmare Mode. There you go. That is, that's probably the one that eats up some people as far as getting it done. Destiny the Taken King. I don't have much to say about Destiny. As far as price, though, is Taken King, like, you need the main game as well as Taken King, at which point, you know, obviously, you know, expansions and such. Dragon Age Inquisition Deluxe Edition. $11.99 is not bad for that. I'm not sure how much the physical copy is going for nowadays. I liked Dragon Age Inquisition more than some people did. I liked it definitely more than Dragon Age 2, which I don't think that's argued that much. But if you liked BioWare style of games and stuff and want to get in $11.99, if you don't mind buying it digital, that's not a bad price. That really isn't. Fast and the Furious Showdown for PS3. I heard at one point this had a relatively easy platinum, but I never really bothered to mess with it. I do have a copy of it. I'm not really a big fan of Fast and Furious or racing games in general, so not really my thing. Firewatch is an awesome game. $12.99 is at least a better price. The problem with Firewatch is, well, it's an awesome game to me. I like the slow adventure games that are walking simulator-esque games. You're not into that, you're not going to like Firewatch. But if you like those kind of games, Firewatch is worth checking out. It's really short, though, and even at $12.99, it's a bit much. It doesn't have a platinum. If you're a physical collector, though, this Friday, which will be December the 16th, Limited Run Games, search Limited Run Games in Google, you'll find them right away. They are doing a physical release for Firewatch. It's $29.99, but they are doing a physical release for Firewatch, so that's your warning on that. Game of Thrones, the Season Pass, does that mean you get everything? Like, that's the whole game? $5.99 for Game of Thrones. This is another one of the Telltale games. I assume the Season Pass means you get all of the game episodes, all 6 episodes. Okay, cool. Yeah, if it's, you get all the episodes for $5.99, that's a pretty good price. It does, of course, have an easy platinum. All the Telltale games have an easy plat. You just have to beat it, and there's no way to die in it, or, you know, lose, so you just have to finish it up. So, $5.99, that is a pretty good price, I would think, if you don't mind getting it digital. It does have a physical copy, though. Interestingly enough, though, the physical release only has episodes 1 through 5 on it. You have to download episode 6 via a download code. So just know that if you're buying it and you're buying it used, just beware that you may not have the code. If the code's used, you won't be able to get episode 6. God of War 3 Remastered. I like God of War, of course. A lot of people like God of War. There's not much to say about God of War. $9.99 is not bad, though, for the remaster. It does have a platinum, obviously. It's a relatively easy platinum, too, considering. There's also a major skip in the game. You get to play the game multiple times. There's a major skip in the game, which I'm not sure if they've patched. My guess is they probably may have patched it, so that wouldn't be accessible via the digital version. Someone can confirm that in the comments or not. But yeah, it had a really easy to use skip that you could skip like almost half the game or more to make the platinum very easy to get. And if you can get it physically, you can still kind of avoid that. Gone Home Console Edition. This game was very much, was kind of really hyped as a big thing for a little bit. It was like everyone. There's definitive people being like, it's not a game. It's another one of those walking simulator games. And then you have the people that are like, it's a beautiful game. It's an amazing game. I loved it. I thought it had a great story that it told. But how much of a game is it truly? You know, if you're not walking, you like walking sims, Gone Home is not for you. It was a free PS Plus game at one point. It does not have a platinum. But some reason, if you have not checked this game out yet, $6.99 is not terrible for it. I feel like the Steam version on PC may have gone even lower at one point, but it's hard to really kind of go out there with the games that at one point were free on Plus. But still, Gone Home. Headlander, I had heard some interesting things about. It seemed kind of interesting. It's an action, side-scroller action game. From Adult Swim is actually the publisher. I've actually enjoyed a lot of what Adult Swim has done publishing-wise. Headlander. PS4 does have a platinum, has a pretty high percent, 30%, so it looks like a pretty easy platinum. This is one that I may end up checking out. What is that price point on Headlander? $11.99. It's a little bit up there than I would like to if it's just an easy platinum and I'm not getting it for any other reason. But that's not a bad, that's a pretty good percentage. So I want to say that Headlander is potentially a relatively easy plat to kind of go after. It doesn't seem... find all the things, you gotta find all these terminals, so there's collectibles and the like. But let me know if you're somebody who's actually played through Headlander, whether or not you would consider it easy, you know, middle, or whatever, as far as plats are concerned. Hyper Life Drifter got a lot of press this year when it came out a few months ago. I couldn't get into it. I do own it, but I couldn't get into it. It's either from the same people or it's very similar to the people that did the game Titan Souls. I want to say it's the same people, but it seems like a really cool game and all that, but like I said, I couldn't really get into it. I couldn't get into like the combat and all that. Okay, so moving on, we have Injustice, Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition. Not terrible price, but this was another one of those ones that was free on Plus at one point. The sequel's coming out next year. You probably could get this at some point pretty cheap, even physical. So if you haven't picked it up by now, I don't know if $9.99 is a price that's going to be intriguing enough. Klaus was a fun platformer that I really enjoyed. I was actually the first one in the world to get the platinum in Klaus. It's a platformer that each world is a little bit different mechanic. It's basically you play as a character that works for a corporation, and you kind of end up in like the basement, and then you slowly but surely the story kind of unfolds, and it's a pretty cool story. You meet this like big giant version basically of yourself, and have to use him for some of the puzzle solving and all. There's a bunch of speed running trophies though in it, which was actually the reason why it took so long to get the platinum. In fact, one time it was impossible to get. Until they edited the game, until they patched it, and then finally, and that's how I was able to get the platinum. Lego Jurassic World, $10 isn't bad for it too, though. It's a pretty fun game. Like I said, I really liked it. I did do a review for it, so if you want to know more, but I enjoyed it. Lego Jurassic World and Lego Marvel Super... Okay, hold on. Lego Jurassic World for $11.99. I enjoyed it for what it was. If you're a Jurassic Park fan, it's kind of fun, but you have to, of course, also like Lego games. Platinum is not going to kill you as far as difficulty, but it's very grindy. Lots of side quests, lots of collecting, lots of redoing the same levels. Very standard for Lego-style games. $11.99, meh. But Marvel Superheroes at $7.99, that's really not all that bad. Marvel Superheroes came out before Lego Jurassic World. This is another one of those ones. This was really grindy, though. I do have the platinum in this. I only got it because I had friends helping me get it. But very, very grindy. It was like 40, 50 hours probably or something to get everything in it. But $7.99, if you like Lego games, that's not overall that bad. The Life is Strange Complete Season, $8.59. This is a very easy platinum. This was my number one on my easiest extremely easy platinums list, volume 1 I did. $8.59 is a good price for it. There is a physical copy for collectors out there. I don't know if it's hard to get a hold of or not. They did like a special collector's edition type physical copy of it at some point that came out back in January of this year. But one of my favorite games of last year. It's an adventure walking sim. It's an adventure game. Not combat. It's not like action oriented or all that. I love the story in it. I love the characters in Life is Strange. I highly recommend checking it out, but it's not the kind of game that's for everyone. Lumo is a fun puzzle game that I finally got a physical copy of. I actually got it for $9. like a couple weeks ago. So 1339 really isn't that low for me. But basically, Lumo is a modern version of the classic isometric style puzzle games like Solstice back on the NES. So if you're an old school fan, you remember Solstice, Lumo is pretty much the spiritual successor to that, very much so. And I've been wanting to dive into it. I didn't buy it digitally when it first came out. I'm glad I waited because they did release that physical copy of it down the road. But it's a cool looking game. I want to actually get in and get a chance to play that hopefully at some point. $10 for my number 9. Look, I know the game gets a lot of shit. And I apologize for language. I don't usually curse in my videos anymore, so now I feel bad that I said a bad word. If I cussed at any other point during this, I apologize. I try not to curse anymore in these. But anyway, my number 9, I know it gets a lot of flack, but if you like the old school Mega Mans, it still has that somewhat of that tangible feel to it. The voice acting is awful. But I liked some of the gameplay elements, and some of the bosses were fun, and there was some fun to be had in it. It was just overblown and overhyped because of the Kickstarter and all this other stuff. $10 really isn't that bad for Mighty Number 9, but I know some people will be like, wow, Mighty Number 9, that's the worst game ever, even though I didn't even play it. But, I mean, it deserves a lot of the flack it gets. I get that from backers and stuff, but it really wasn't that bad of a game. Monster Jam Crush It. Absolutely god-awful game, even as far as monster truck games go. I've played a bunch of monster truck games, even though I'm not even that huge of a monster truck fan. But there are so many better ones available on last gen or before. Monster Jam Crush It is the worst monster truck game I've probably ever played since back like on Bigfoot on the NES. $13.99 is way too much. The only reason to get this and keep an eye on it, and it does have a physical like Big Buck Hunter, is that it has a very easy platinum. I mean, one of the easiest platinums that I have dealt with this year. And, you know, so like probably top 10 easiest platinums of the year. It's in that list for sure. Saints Row Reelected. Does this come with, is it just Saints Row 4, I assume? Yeah, Saints Row 4 is a really cool game. $6.99 is not too bad of a price point for it. If you didn't play Saints Row 4 yet, it's a really fun game. They went super over the top with it because you're in a virtual world, so you have superpowers and the like. Really fun, though. $6.99 isn't too bad. The Platinum, not one of the worst for an open world style game, but a lot of collecting. SteamWorld Heist, I've heard some cool things about. They finally did a physical copy for it, and it's like some of the other games involved in it. I never got around to actually playing it, though, so someone let me know down if SteamWorld Heist is actually worth checking out. I'm not positive even with the price. Until Dawn, I loved. A lot of people probably don't like it. It was actually one of my first. It was like kind of my beta review when I first started doing reviews. It was one of the first reviews I did as kind of a test to see if I could do reviews. And Until Dawn I loved it. It's a horror game where your choices actually matter. Characters may die or live, and you cannot go back and change your decisions until after you've beaten the game at least one time. There are some collectibles and the like, and you do have to do a few different paths in it, including getting everyone to die at one point and everyone to live at one point, and some stuff in between. Pretty easy platinum, one of the ones people consider like really easy. Not the easiest as far as hours you got to put into it, but overall pretty easy plat. $14.29 for Firewatch, the dynamic theme bundle. Yeah, no, I'm good. Darkest Dungeons, a game that's gotten a lot of hype over the year, pretty much, since it came out. It was kind of cool. I never really got into it much on PC, and I didn't. For $25, it was out of my price range at the time. I know a lot of people love this game, though. Well, $10 off if you haven't checked it out yet. That may be enough to convince you to check it out for yourself. Drinkbox Vita Collection. So a Vita bundle that has Guacamelee, I can see, Severed, and Mutant Blobs Attack. I know Guacamelee, of course. That at one point was free as a plus title. Tales from Space, Mutant Blob Attacks. I'm not positive on much about those two games, but they may be worth checking out if you're a Vita person. Fury, I did a review for it. It was a free game back in July. Very difficult game. Very hard to get platinum. It does have one, though. There's some like speedrunning things I think in it, like not dying stuff with some really tough boss fights and the like. And a lot of people probably aren't going to be really into it or think it was that cool. $17.49 though is still a bit much, I think, overall for it. Legend of K Anniversary was a re-release of a PS2 game that was brought out It's okay. I wanted to like it more. I played it back on PS2 a bit, but I didn't really like try to beat it. I tried to beat it last year when it came out physically for PS4, and I hated it. Like, I don't know why, but I just couldn't get into it. It seemed like it could be cool. It does have a platinum, but it really wasn't worth it to me. The combat and the characters and all just really didn't do anything for me. It's an action platformer, though. We talked about Game of Thrones. We're almost near the end. We're getting closer to the end. Escapist Supermax Edition. Escapist is a cool game. It does have a physical in Europe only, though, I think. Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward. These are awesome games. All the games in the whole 999 Virtue's Last Reward series. They are getting a bundle, though, for PS4 relatively soon. So if you don't have the Vita or 3DS and you've been wanting to check out this series, there is a like kind of collection that's coming out relatively soon for PS4, but they're very cool adventure games. Destiny Taken King, like I said, can't talk about. I just did a review actually for Earth's Dawn. I think $22.49 is still a little bit too much for it. It is an interesting game. It's an action shooter, like not action hack and slash, a little bit of shooting elements. With a lot of missions. It's all from this side perspective. The characters have a weird kind of animation, almost Flash-like animation to them. The problem with the game was you have to do a lot of side mission stuff in order to advance the in-game timer, and they come down to very boring kind of like fetch quest-esque things, and it started to become a grind very quickly, and I only, at that, like, it became a grind after only a couple of hours of playing, let alone I can only imagine putting lots of hours into it. But, and I have to check, because obviously I haven't touched it for a little bit, but come on. So yeah, it's not a huge percentage of people that have actually gone ahead and put the work in for the platinum, but it's okay. Evolve, $14.99. No, not worth that. You could probably get a physical copy even cheaper at some point. I remember I got my copy for like $10, and that was like over a year ago. Far Cry 4. I loved Far Cry 4. I think 3 was I liked 3 more. But 4 was still really cool. It's a pretty easy platinum. It does have a couple of multiplayer things, but they really weren't that bad as far as like multiplayer trophies usually end up going. $17.99 is not a terrible price for it, but it's been out for a long time. I feel like maybe you could even get a bargain bin cheaper physical copy somewhere. Gravity Rush Remastered. I really enjoyed this. This was the Vita game that got ported over the PS4. The PS4 port is pretty good. The sequel's coming out in January. $17.99 is not too bad. It's not a terrible platinum either. It took me a couple days to get the platinum. It didn't take me long at all. It's an action 3D action game, but the gravity gimmick is really cool. Being able to flip it at any point, flip your character, and then like dash across and run into enemies. It takes a bit to get used to, that is for sure. But if you're willing to like kind of like put the time into the controls, it doesn't take too long to kind of get a feel for it and get the hang of it. And there's some really fun stuff in the game, and I'm looking forward to playing the sequel. Justing is a karaoke game that's part of the Ubisoft's like Just series of like Just Dance and the like. I've never messed with it or not. I think it does have a platinum though, and that would maybe the only thing. Justing, yes, it does have a platinum. It has a 20% the plat, but of course that involves singing, getting 5 stars on 40 different songs. So yeah, unless you're really into karaoke, not going to be something necessarily you're going to want to check into, and I still think I wouldn't pay $17.99 for it. I'd go much lower. There's Legend of Kagan, Saints Row. TMNT, Danger of the Ooze. This is PS3 only, but it's TMNT Metroidvania. It kind of has an old school feel to it. I was actually surprised at how much I ended up enjoying this game. It's really short. It's not necessarily long. It's not a terrible platinum, but it does have a speed run. There's some speed run elements to the platinum, so that's going to turn some people off. But I actually really enjoyed it. As far as recent TMNT games, this is one of my favorites and does get a recommendation from me. I'm not sure if this is a little bit too much for it. I feel like I didn't even pay that much for my physical copy of the game, which I bought over a year ago. But still, if you can get a hold of this one, even if that's not the price you want it for, this is actually a fun game worth checking out. Yumawari Night Alone. slash HTL. I've heard really cool things about this game, but it's being Vita is the only reason I haven't checked it out. It's not that huge of a discount, so it may not be necessarily worth whatever, but I've heard some really cool things about this game. Let me know if you've played it, because I'm wondering if it's worth checking out. I have a Vita. I can't find it at the moment, but I do own a Vita. I've been looking for some stuff to play on it, so if I can get that cheaper, though, at some point, I may end up going after it. The Grand Theft Auto, here you go. $20.99 is a decent price for the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. That's Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas I talked about earlier. $20.99 for all three of them together is not bad. Like I said, 2 of the 3 Platinums aren't that overall difficult to get. Prison Architect All Day and Night Edition. I'm not sure what comes different compared to the regular Prison Architect. I know the physical copy for regular Prison Architect is $20 right now on GameFly, and maybe even Amazon, so you can probably get it cheaper down the road as well, but there you go. I'm not positive much about it outside of that. The Dead Island Definitive Edition together, not worth $23.99 to me, but some may like it. Destiny More Taken King. Season Pass for Doom. No, 40. Like, if you didn't buy it at 40, I'm not buying it at $31.99. If you're gonna do anything with Doom Season Pass, wait for. They're probably gonna do a re-release down the road of a Game of the Year version. So if you haven't bought Doom yet, that's not really that intriguing of a price. Game of the Year edition for Dragon Age Inquisition. I assume that comes with the DLC compared to the one we looked at earlier. I didn't really mess with the DLC, so I don't really know if there's anything worth checking out that was so great about that. Dying Light, I hated this game. It was one of my most disappointing games of the year last year. $29.99 is something I wouldn't pay anywhere for it. Same goes with Evolve, is not worth $20. Far Cry 4, though, we talked about it. I don't know why was that PS3 version we looked at earlier or something. Like I said, I really liked Far Cry 3 and 4, though. Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, $20 isn't too bad. It was hard to get a hold of physical for a little bit. I don't know if that's still the case. It's a fighting game. It's part of the long-running Guilty Gear fighting game series. Not a series that's for everyone. I think there's a newer version, though, of Guilty Gear since. So if you're looking to kind of get the newest version, I'm pretty sure there's another one since Xrd Sign came out, though. Hasbro Family Fun Pack Conquest Edition. They've released multiple Family Fun Packs. This has a physical, and you can get the physical cheaper than $40, or even, in fact, I bought a copy $10 at one point, but there were some problems with shipping, and then the price went back up. I got screwed out of it. Yay, Amazon sometimes. But I wouldn't pay $40 for this. It doesn't have a plat. Each game is done individually, too. It's Battleship, Scrabble, Monopoly Plus, and Risk, the Risk, like, whatever edition. Urban Assault, Risk Urban Assault. They had a cheaper bundle that had, like, another Monopoly game, had Scrabble, and 2 other games, and it was, like, a $20 package or something. I think that's overpriced for what's there. I'm not into the Just Dance games, so I don't have a whole lot of comment there. Mutants in Manhattan, not worth $24.79. Amazing Spider-Man 2 Gold Edition, not worth $20. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm just waiting now at this point for the new Spider-Man game for PS4. Blood Bowl 2, I did a review of this last year, and $20 isn't too bad for it. There is a physical out there. I'm not sure if it's cheaper or not, but it's a football game, but done with like a D&D style, with dice rolling and statistics and stuff like that, where it's everything is calculated on whether or not like you're able to take the ball or score or do any movement and stuff. If you're into strategy and stuff like that, and like if you're one of those people that are one of the few that like strategy games and sports at all, you probably already heard of Blood Bowl 2, but it is fun. I was surprised at how much I ended up enjoying it. Evolve, nope. Fallout Season Pass. Oh, for $50 or $40? Wasn't it originally $40 and then they raised the price when they announced Nuka World and shit? I apologize once again for cursing. No. Far Cry Primal, $30 is way too much still. I know that will go down and get cheaper. Far Cry Primal was pretty cool, but some people thought it was really lazy. Like, the map was very similar to 4 and stuff. I still enjoyed the game for what it was. It's an easy platinum for the most part. But that's going to go down. You can probably get that physically even cheaper. Grand Kingdom came out in June. I want to say, yep, June. I didn't get it when it came out. It's an RPG tactical RPG. It looks kind of cool. I'm waiting. I'm holding out until I can get a physical copy of it for cheaper, and I know I'll be able to do that. So I wouldn't pay, if you haven't bought it yet, I wouldn't pay that much for it. More Just Dance stuff. There's Get Xrd Sign Again. This is the PS4 version. Avengers, Lego Marvel Avengers, not worth $34.99. You can definitely get that cheaper elsewhere. Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. I said Force Unleashed. Not worth $34.99. That's going to drop in price. In fact, I've already seen it lower. It's $20 on GameFly right now for a physical copy. In case you don't know, GameFly is a great site to get deals because like the games are guaranteed to work. And the codes have never been used. So if a game comes with a download code or something like that, it's not been used because they don't ship that out when people rent the games. But you can get really good deals, and you do not need a GameFly paid GameFly account. Like, you don't have to buy their service and get their rentals and stuff. You can have a free account on GameFly and still buy stuff from them. A lot of people seemingly don't know that. But anyway, GameFly has a lot of great deals. You can get that for cheaper right now there. Mutants in Manhattan. Not worth $40 at all. No. Cross out. No. If that's $10, maybe. For more Far Cry. This is the Saints Row Metro Double Pack. This is coming with Metro's Redux. That's cool. Metro Last Light and 20. God, my brain. You know what it is. The 2033. I was gonna say 2044, but it's 2033. Anyway, so this is Saints Row 4. Get Out of Hell, Metro 2033, and Last Light for $19.24. That's a pretty good deal. All the games I would recommend. The weakest of that set is Get Out of Hell, which was a standalone DLC for Saints Row 4. It has a relatively easy plat, but super grindy. Oh my god, you get the grind out kills with every weapon. Not fun. One of the most boring platinums I own or have. But that's pretty cool. I would say that is somewhat intriguing if that's all that comes with that. That's pretty cool. Battlezone, which is a VR game. I don't have much to say about it, and I would not pay $41.99 for that. Infinite Warfare for $44.39. This is regular Infinite Warfare. If it was $44.39 and it was the limited one that came along with the Modern Warfare remake, that may not be that bad considering it's only about a month after launch, but I'd still, if you haven't bought it, yeah, that's not really worth it. I still haven't played Deus Ex Mankind Divided, so that's a big discount though, half off. I'm expecting to get a physical copy of that probably for around 2025, probably in a few months, so I'm holding out until I can get it cheaper. But that may, if some people are interested, that may be okay. Doom was great this year. I love Doom. Doom is probably one of my favorite games of the year, definitely in my top 20. $35.99 though. I don't know. I think you could hold out for a bit cheaper. Same I would say for Dragon Quest Builders if you haven't bought it yet, but it's actually surprisingly fun even if you hate Minecraft. Dragon Quest Builders is actually fun. I had a lot of fun with Dragon Quest Builders. Fallout 4, love Fallout 4. I did enjoy it. It's not as good as 3. It's not as good as New Vegas. Definitely not as good as the old ones. But I still had a lot of fun with Fallout 4. I'm sure they've patched and fixed a lot of the issues with it by now. As my dog is just barking at nothing out there. But $35.99, I feel like you can get it cheaper soon enough. And there's gonna be a definitive edition released for this, or Game of the Year edition, or whatever, that's gonna have all the DLC from that $50 season pass. So if you haven't bought Fallout 4 now, why buy it now? Wait. Far Cry 4 we've talked about. And last page. Woo! Last page. God Eater 2 Rage Burst, $41.99. That game came out back in August, I'm pretty sure. August 20th or something like that. Of course, nothing was low. Yeah, August 30th. My bad. I did want to get it, but unfortunately I didn't have the money at the time. It's an action-oriented... shit, my brain is... Wow! Cursing! Stop, brain! Stop. It's an action RPG-esque game with hack-and-slash elements, I'm pretty sure. Yes. There we go. I didn't play the other God Eater game, though, so shame on me if I went ahead and got 2 without playing that one. But I feel like not worth that price. $20.99 for Just Cause 3. That's borderline. I had a lot of fun with Just Cause 3. I've heard they've patched a lot of it now, so the game actually loads quicker. That was the biggest problem with Just Cause 3 when it first came out, was the load time was... Oh... If they fix that, then it's more enjoyable of an experience. $20 though is about the limit I would pay nowadays for it, because I feel like you can get a physical one for cheaper. Just Dance 2017, not worth that price for me, of course. More Lego, like I said, you can get the actual regular Lego Star Wars Force Awakens for like $20 right now. Overwatch Origins Edition, this was on sale cheaper during Black Friday than this is now. I feel like, you know, Overwatch, I'm not playing it. I played it like a very tiny bit, but it's hugely popular, and it's not lowering in price anytime soon. So if you're looking for a really low price on the PS4 version, I'm not sure it's still on sale anywhere for the holidays or anything, but it's not going to be lowering in price much. So this is not one that's going to be like, oh, it's going to be $20 in a few weeks or something like that. Rise of the Tomb Raider for $30 is not too bad. I'm holding out to get a cheaper physical copy down the road, but I've heard a lot of good things. I just didn't have time or money to get it when it first launched. $69.59 for Legacy Edition of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. No. Even though I got the Legacy Edition for Modern Warfare Remastered, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Modern Warfare Remastered, but it's not worth that price. Not worth that price. They need to release it on its own, and they won't because Activision is money-hungry pigs. Just Cause 3 XL Edition. I don't even know what the difference really is between the two, other than DLC, I am sure. Just Cause the Land, Air, and Sea expansion, the exclusive Flame Wingsuit, and secure a 7-day early access to DLC pack before the release. Is other DLC not out for it yet or something? Yeah, no, I'm good. We talked about Deus Ex, Infinite Warfare Digital Deluxe, no. The Elder Scrolls Online Gold Edition Premium Bundle. This game is dropping in price quickly, so I would just wait for a physical copy to get cheaper. Not worth that price. And then Fallout 4 Digital Deluxe, definitely not worth that price point. Does it come with the season pass? Is that what it is? No, like plus season pass with that. Look, considering the season pass is $50 and the game's going for whatever, maybe somebody would be intrigued by that price. But for me, no, just wait. Wait it out. It'll be worth the wait. You'll be able to get it much, much cheaper down the road. So there we go, guys. I know that was a much, much longer video than probably you were expecting, but I wanted to go over everything that was on sale. If you like this video, be sure to let me know by thumbsing it up or commenting. That way I know it's worth me going ahead and doing this again next week when week 3 rolls around. So, thank you all so much for watching this video, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.